HiSec Buyback offers a 90% GDA anywhere in HiSec. Simply go to hisec.evebuyback.com, appraise your items, create a contract, and get paid quickly.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Talking in Stations. I'm your host, Rahne, and I'm joined by our engineer, Abbie, as well as our special guest, Jinx from Brave. Jinx, would you like to give an introduction to yourself?
Sure. Jinx DeCare. I've been the head of the Brave Dojo for about 4 years, and I'm now leading Brave Newbies, the biggest corp in the Brave Collective.
Is that the name of the corp, Brave Collective?
Brave Newbies is the corp.
Brave, okay.
And then Brave Collective is the alliance.
Is it really the alliance? I've been calling it Brave Newbies, the alliance, this whole time.
Yeah, we are like 50% or more of the alliance. So.
Okay.
But Dunk is our alliance leader, and I've taken over the reins of Brave Newbies.
Okay. I did not realize it was actually Brave Collective as the alliance, though. That's interesting. So welcome to Talking in Stations. Today we're going to be talking about your involvement in Brave as well as events with Brave in general. So I know Abbie has the Eve Fanfest Mega Blog coming up, which we'll talk probably a little bit at the end of the show. But first I want to talk about John Bellicose Day. I don't know if you wanted to start there, if you had any involvement.
Sure. So John Bellicose Day is something Brave has been doing a long time. Even I wasn't there when John was there, but John passed away, and it was something that Brave. He was actually part of a different corporation, but he was in the Brave Collective, was in the Brave Dojo before my time, and he passed away. And it's something that Brave started, and just to remember him and other people who have passed away. And this also spawned the broadcast for reps that the Eve community has taken on from there. So each year we host for 24 hours a Sino Vigil for John and others in the Eve community who have been lost, and also just take the time to check in with each other and invite everyone in Eve to come visit.
So did you guys have a lot of folks cycling in and out? I wasn't able to make it, but I had heard it was pretty busy, if that's the right word.
Yeah, we had people from all over, friend and foe, come. We had CCP and ISD stop by, so that was great. We got to see the cockroach and some Titans lancing people and fireworks and tons of Sinos the whole day. So it was good. I was able to stop by and USTZ of the first night, and then burn a Sino through my workday the next day. But we even went a little long just because more people wanted to come and they didn't have a chance on the Thursday night. So we went through Friday night.
Oh, nice. That's really good to hear that you're able to be accommodating. I know it's like you guys open up your home station and everything, so it's not just, hey, you like fly a ship down and hope you don't die to a gate camp in nullsec sort of thing.
Yeah, we set up a Freeport market and stocked with sigils in the Indy Sino, which was something, when they made those Sino changes, that's something we really lobbied for. It was when they first made the Sino changes, if you remember that, we were like, how are we going to do this vigil? And so the Indy Sino came up, and it was a much cheaper way to do it. And so we stocked the market with liquid ozone and spent the whole week making sure that we had enough industrials for anyone who came by.
Yeah, I remember that discussion by CCP because they talk about how in-game balance mechanic changes somehow still affect players for their creativity. So Sino Vigils being the creative aspect. But yeah, no, that's really interesting. I'm glad it was such a hit, or like you guys had some success with people showing up and hanging out. I know those are always like really solemn, but also at the same time, it's really nice to see support from other players with these events. I don't know if Abbie can show a picture from it.
Grab them right now.
There's like the fireworks, the big ships kind of all hanging out. Yeah, some of this. What's up?
I'm going to mess up his name, but the Signal Cartel leader who got the achievement for going to all the systems. has like 40 gigabytes of video from the whole day. And
Oh wow.
so if anyone wants it, I can get you a link.
Yeah, that would be good. I don't know if it's easy to grab, and we can throw it in chat for folks who want to browse the video or the pictures too.
Let me try to drag it up.
Yeah, I saw there was lots of like during the event. I saw like lots of different like kills coming in of like different groups, and just like I seen pictures coming in on our Discord and other people's Discords. Yeah, it looked amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I've done before where I'll stream the events, and then like when you speed it up, it's actually really interesting watching the fireworks go fast. Yeah, I'm looking. I don't know where you're finding all these, Abbie. These are really pretty.
Yeah, these are just posted in the Discord. Just in Eve discussion. I love that one with the Ragnarok. I think it looks like a dragon.
Yeah, the Cloud Ring constellation, or
Yeah.
not constellation, region in the background looks really good there.
Yeah, the Pure Blind skybox is nice with Cloud Ring.
A good place to live, especially if you guys want fights and stuff too. I think it's really easy to get to Pure Blind, isn't it?
Yeah, we're back to number one. Q5 is back to number one most violent place. So.
Nice.
All right, I'm gonna try to get you the link.
Alrighty. I like pictures, dude. Like shiny stuff is so nice. I'm just watching Abbie jump through them. Yeah, so we talked a little bit about Broadcast for Reps. I can share for those. Broadcast for Reps is a player support group where if you need somebody to talk to, you can reach out to them, and they almost always have people on standby ready to just like field questions, let somebody vent, or just hang out and kind of show support, get someone resources. Video games are intimidating. It's kind of hard to talk about mental health stuff to people. So having somebody who is at least within the game and the gaming realm that you play and then can kind of relate to that is actually really helpful. I think their Discord is just like discord.gg/broadcast for reps. Or if you just search broadcast for reps, you'll find like blogs and stuff to how to get to their Discord. So you could go there if you need someone to talk to, or if you're one of those people who want to volunteer to help others. They're a really good group. Within
In-game
Eve.
channel as well.
Yeah, in-game channel broadcast for reps. They do a lot of work. I've actually talked, and I always tell CCP that they need to talk about this at an Eve meet. So at Vegas, I talked to GM Ice Cream, and he shared about how one of the things they look for is to see if so they'll set up automated chat tools just to see if the chat tools will catch things before they're reported by players, right? So derogatory language, stuff like that. And he said one of the things that they noticed time and time again is that if a player was threatening self-harm, that players 99% of the time would reach out to CCP before like any automated tool ever would. So players were faster to react to players in self-harm. And then this actually might be covered under my NDA, but I actually don't care because this is the coolest fun fact ever. CCP has a lot of relations with international law enforcement. So what they'll do is if they have players like threatening self-harm is they reach out to that law enforcement. So that way they can say, hey, we have this thing going on in a video game. We know it's a video game, but it could be something serious. Could you check on this person? So then that way they are actually like using what resources they have to pass on information to somebody who can truly be there physically to help. And so I remember I heard that during my work in the Alliance tournament, because CCP actually has to do a lot of work, kind of to do their due diligence, but also to make sure their players are safe, because stuff happens and it's really hard for, someone like you or I sitting at home to help. So that's why CCP steps in and does stuff.
Oh my god. Sorry, that is fantastic. And you're 100% correct. And I just got the link to the Dropbox. I'll post it in chat.
Yeah. Wait, I'm correct? You mean, so this is not new information? Dang it.
No. I don't think that would be NDA. I mean, I know from people who've kind of done similar roles that most gaming companies do have some relationships with national or kind of regional, emergency responses, and if you say something, obviously they have like my address, my name, my credit card, they can pass on it. It is great to see that the players can kind of report that stuff quicker.
Yeah, and so like I keep telling, so like GM Ice Cream is one of the folks that I always talk to. So there's a security Q&A at Fanfest. So I really hope that they're like sharing this information, because as a player, I would love to know that if I report something to CCP, that CCP actually does some action, right? Because a lot of this stuff is sensitive information and they just won't share. They won't say, hey, we checked on them, they're okay. They'll say, hey, we're going to do the best we can, but we can't tell you anything. And so knowing the best that they can, like, is actually a lot broader than what I initially expected, is really comforting.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So for those in chat, I just posted a link to Dropbox. We'll make sure this goes up in the YouTube description as well. And why don't you tell us what this is, James?
So again, this is from I'm gonna mess up their name again, but Katia, say, of Signal Cartel, has 20 gigabytes of raw video, high definition, and they provided it to us in Brave, and I think we're going to try to capture that into some smaller highlights. But if anyone was interested, I thought we could share it.
Yeah, that's great. Let me see if I can play one of these. It might kill my internet.
I'm seeing it move real well on our end.
Katia, by the way, guys, obviously he's been working on the Journey series. So if you haven't watched it yet, go back on YouTube and make sure you watch the Katia Say Journey series. The next episode is out in like the next 2 weeks, I believe.
Oh, that's good to know.
Oh, look, it's kind of paused there. I'll let it catch up.
So someone in chat, Fantasy, is saying, sadly, there's also guys killing the vigils. I used to be super against people shooting or what I would call griefing at Sino vigils, until somebody pointed out that people process their grief in different ways. So sometimes people were bringing fleets and they'll like do something like shoot each other, and then they'll, let themselves be potted back home. So that's how I've always approached the perspective of watching people PvP at Sino vigils, just to like get some, it's like, I don't know if it's a coping mechanism for me of comfort, but also to see things from different perspectives. Is just, maybe it's a different way of processing their grief or showing their support.
This year we've had some things in previous years, but this year everyone was pretty good. I think somebody asked to be potted, and other people were calling to stop shooting because they didn't want to see anybody get blown up, even though the person had requested it. We had some ESS fleets steal some ISK, but I think that's fair play. Yes, I think it was a pretty good day overall. I couldn't make more than a few hours myself, but we had one member who I think burned a Sino for all but 30 minutes, they said. So I think there was...
Oh, wow.
I think some of that was sleeping with a full cargo hold, but still a good effort.
Yeah, the Sino, we talked about the Sino changes, the way they've changed them now too. It's like it uses less fuel, and so for some of them it uses less fuel. So you can actually like fill something up and then just go AFK in like 8 hour Sino easy, which is, I think, really nice.
Can you do that, Jen?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can, because I remember doing some of these where I filled like a T1 industrial, and it was like 2 hours later was like I finally got done. And I don't know. It felt like a long time compared to before.
I've only ever used them in a covert ops Sino, so I mean 30 seconds and I'm out. Right?
Yeah, I guess you are a wormholer too, so wormholes don't really get Sinos.
This is great though. So in terms of what we're watching on stream, like the Dropbox preview isn't great, guys, but like the footage is 4K. So if you want to like get some of this nice good raw footage, hit up that Dropbox link and you can download it. Kirsten says in chat CCP Aurora was burning for like 12 hours, but she was cheating in her cockroach.
Yeah, cockroaches can, I think, fit the world in them, and I say that because I remember there was a story where a GM accidentally put an entire solar system into their cargo, so that's definitely cheating.
Now I just want to know what that looks like.
I think it like broke the game for a really long time, and they like took that ability to do that. They took the ability to do that away on Tranquility, so now they can't ever do it. I don't even know if they can do it on CC.
This looks amazing. So I actually recently learned that there was stand-up festival launchers in the game.
Yes, so Scared Panda and I like advocated for, if you're going to have a Citadel, why is the only thing you can equip on it hostile weapons? And so we said you should have festival launchers to launch Citadel level, or like Citadel grade fireworks level, I don't know, like the size. And so CCP finally implemented festival launchers for your Citadel that you can put in the high slots and just shoot these massive like fireworks from them.
Yeah, one thing that we got to talking about for fireworks is it'd be nice if you could get a preview. Like, so when you're purchasing the different ones, that pumpkin one's really nice. That you could actually see that, kind of like a skin preview, but see the fireworks preview so you know what you're getting.
Yeah,
That would be a cool idea. If only somebody was going to run for the CSM and have that running points or something.
Wait, are you guys running?
I intend to run. I have to get through the application process and everything.
Nice.
But working towards that.
Yeah, apply early so then that way you know if you don't get a go.
Yes, yeah.
And then I've heard there's a lot of, what is it, like those backroom deals of like trading votes or something. So that sounds, I don't know, not fun to me.
Yeah, I'm absolutely not running. It's not my.
Yeah. Maybe we can get you back on the show. I don't think we're doing Talking in Stations interviews, but maybe we might. I know Ashtarothi is though, so if you want interviews, you should reach out to him.
Yeah,
Sure.
Ashtarothi will be doing the same thing as he did last year, where he's going to be interviewing almost every CSM candidate that reaches out to him. He did a fantastic job last year, and he's going to do it again this year, so I look forward to seeing it. Oh, I love that snowflake firework up there on the left.
Yeah, some of these are really pretty. Like the different seasonal ones they have, where like you have no idea what they're called and you have to try and find them, and then they're super expensive in some obscure station. But I love them.
Let's have to pause in a minute. Yeah, I actually think that would be a great idea that Jinx said would be if you could like preview the fireworks before you buy them.
Yeah,
Like
and don't wait.
shipskins.
That'll be the whole campaign. Just fireworks preview.
You should take, one thing you could do is take your feedback to CCP and like tell them this, and then if they implement your change, you just say, look guys, I gave CCP feedback and they already implemented it and I'm not on the CSM yet, you should vote for me. That would be a good way to get you support. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just mesmerized by all these videos. I'm just watching Abbie play. Just sit there and look at shiny stuff and explosions.
Yeah, I mean by all accounts it looks like a great success, and congratulations to Brave. Or I don't know if congratulations is the right word, but
Good job on running a good event.
yeah. And honoring,
And it's a lot of people get involved. People putting together 150 sigils and people bringing in fireworks. It's a lot of individual efforts to make it happen. And I don't think we even ran out of anything this year. So.
Nice, you're super prepared then.
jeez, this looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks so nice.
I need to get a better graphics card. This is nicer than what I saw.
The ball and nesters or whatever over there in the corner was crazy looking. Look at that ball and nesters over there on the right. Ooh, what a marshal.
Oh yeah.
A Goose from Safety came out. He had like 20 shuttles of all Goose, and he was going all around.
Sounds like so much fun.
Had a hell with their fighters out. That's a little braver than me, but
Yeah. All right, we can pivot topics too. So I know we also invited you on to talk about Brave's expansion into Pureblind. So you live in Pureblind already, but you went from 1 constellation to 4, and now you have a lot of Sov. So do you have background thoughts on this? Like,
sure. So we came over to Pureblind. After the war, we wanted to go a more independent path. We still have friends, but we didn't want to be tied to a big coalition like we were. And so we found that. We crashed on the couch in Geminate for a little bit, and then we found found room in Pure Blind, got the first constellation. It turned out that we were fighting banders for a while. For a second, TP, who owned some of the other space that we had, they decided to go to low sec, and so we were able to expand in their space, and now we're pretty comfortable in the space we have, and we're having tons of fights in Q5. You know, when we did expand, we got more R64s, so we're comfortable for our size, and we're back to growing after the war and having a ton of fun.
So you said you had fights in Q5, but that's your home system. Does that mean all
Yes.
the fights come to you, or do you actually go out to get fights?
So in Brave, we kind of open our mouth and the food comes to us. We can be a little spoiled that way, but it's a ton of fun to just be able to either watch for pings or hang out in standing fleet. And a lot of times the fights show up. We roam, but like the other day, we roamed to staging and got dreads dropped on us, or horde staging, we got dreads dropped on us, which is, you know, no fun. We try not to do that. Right now, Marauders are getting so popular in the game, we're trying to hold back and make sure that we're bringing good fights every time, because we want people to keep coming.
Yeah, so no Paladin fleet doctrine yet?
No, not yet.
All right. Well, I'm a member of PL, and we kind of introduced the Paladin doctrine, and it's been absolutely fun. I never realized how much fun battleships were. I'm a frigate pilot by heart. And so you guys talked about living in Pure Blind and still having friends. Are you guys blue to anyone? Are you guys like trying to build a coalition or deliberately avoid a coalition?
We are blue to no one, but everyone in Eve needs friends. If you don't have friends, it doesn't last long. So we're enjoying what we're doing here. We're getting more corps coming in, and Brave Newbies itself is growing well. So we're happy with what we're doing right now.
Alrighty. So do you have plans? I know you mentioned you were pretty comfortable with your constellations. You expanded them for more like PvE space. Do you plan to get more as your alliance grows, or not really?
You know, everyone wants more space, but then there's let me say this. If there's good space and we feel like we can hold it, and we want to be contiguous. One of the big problems that we had down in the south, we were in catch and impasse, and having such a big split where you couldn't easily get between stagings, between like kind of the PvP and the crab, then it kind of made a split within Brave. So we're happy to be pretty consolidated, but if there's space there for the taking that's close by, then we'll look at that.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
So, do you have like half a Pure Blind or something by the looks of it?
Yeah.
So I don't really understand how Salve works. It's not my game. I just see Brave on a thing, and I'm like, oh, okay, they own that. That's great. So you have like the bottom half, roughly by the looks of it.
Yeah. So we have, and we have a lot of jump bridges. So it looks kind of split apart, and there's NPC null, and then there's like quote space. But with jump bridges, we've linked both sides really well, so you can get to almost all of our space within 3 or 4 jumps. So you can go from where most of the fights come to over to D2, where we've got ice and do a lot of mining and ratting, and then there's the people who are hunting those, and so that we can jump over and save them. But the layout's really nice. We can bridge to anywhere, or almost anywhere in space. I think there's like one system that you have to jump over, but it's nice being that consolidated.
So if you're only in half a Pure Blind, is there someone else who lives in the other half or lives in the NPC space?
So we have Bandar Logs, and they're up in the north. You can see one of their systems reinforced. So we were fighting with Bandar Logs early, and we took at high cost, but we took one of their systems, EL8. We recently came to an agreement and gave them back, and we got some systems in trade for that. So we're at peace right now. We're neutral neighbors. They're fighting with Frat, But we kind of had the extended war. The time zones made it tough on our side, but then they couldn't make any progress on us on our time zones. So it was kind of stalemate for a long time. Then, the real life war happened, which affected them pretty heavily. And we kind of paused from there, and then we were able to come to an agreement.
Okay.
That's quite honourable. So you're predominantly US time zone heavy, I believe, are you?
We, like all of EVE, we do have a strong EUTZ, but our USTZ is good as well. Yeah, that's where I am.
Okay. And so you have Banderlogs as not blue, but friendly neighbors, so almost, where you just kind of avoid each other. But then...
They're still red because we hunt each other pretty actively, but we're not shooting each other's structures. And then we've got Volta, who we've worked with on kind of a strategic scale, but we still have tons of fights with them. And so you can see that they've got some space, and they've got their split, which I don't fully understand, between Blob and Volta. And so they got those left pockets, and then Quote is associated with the GTC, and they've got that one pocket as well. So TP was there, but they chose to leave, and that's where we've filled the void.
Okay. And then you said Banderlogs is fighting Fraternity. Are you guys fighting with Fraternity at all, or helping them fight Fraternity?
We've third partied on a few fights, and I think we did help defend one iHub more for the content than anything with Banders, but no, we're not on either side of that.
Okay. I was just curious. I didn't even know Fraternity was coming down and fighting people in Pure Blind.
They took a couple of the Banders moons in the NPC space.
Okay, I see. That would be a reason to fight. What's that, Abbie?
I was just going to say, that's funny, because they have about 16 regions, so I'm surprised they need to go take somebody else's moons.
Yeah, I wonder if they, just need the moons, or... I mean, moons are good for, getting those resources, too. So I guess other questions. I know you mentioned Pandemic Horde, and there was also groups like Karma Fleet, those new Bureau Corps that are kind of with every alliance. What sets Brave apart now that you guys are out of a coalition and kind of on?
So, well, one, we're, with an original New Bureau Corp. The others, Horde is much bigger now, of course, and Karma Fleet's with goons who are very big as well. But I think we're in a really good place being medium scale, and we're not like married to the coalition. We're not trying to do triple staging to defend 10 regions. We're in this space. We get to go have fights anywhere we want in the whole galaxy, and just operating at that smaller scale, I think, is more fun and is a good place for newbies to start. And then, of course, being part of the Brave Dojo, I like the way that we do it because I run it. But we really try to teach everybody like you would any friend. If someone came over with their computer, you're like, oh, do it this way. And that's kind of the way our style. And I think we're somewhere between Hordes Accept Anybody and Karma Fleet's security to make sure that they fit in with the rest of the goon structure.
So if there are people watching stream and they're actually curious to join, how would they join Brave New?
So I can put a link out, but it's all you have to do is have a pulse and apply on joinus.bravecollective.com/brave, and you send an app. We look it over. We do more security checks than Horde. It takes a little bit, but then you come fly with us, and you don't have to have. We'll take anyone from 1 day old to 150 or however many skill points you can have. I don't even know what the max is.
I have no idea. There's probably at least 300 mil. And there's nobody at that level. Or maybe there is. I don't know.
There's 7 people and 4 of them are 1 guy's ults. Yeah, that's great. Actually, I don't I'm not related to any of the groups you mentioned. Karma Fleet, Horde, PL, or whatever. But I think your summary of Brave from my interaction with a lot of these groups is quite accurate. If I roam in Horde space, it's no surprise to get dropped on by like 20 capitals or a bunch of marshals, like what happened the other day. Thank you guys. Or if we go roaming in Goon space, we're definitely gonna get 17 marshals dropped on us and a bunch of supers because they love doing that. But with Brave, I think we're more than likely gonna get kind of an even cruiser to cruiser, battleship to battleship fight. We've had more of that mid-scale fight. Obviously, you're bigger because you're nullsec, and you'll definitely outnumber us and blob us. But like, it's a more fair blob, and we appreciate that. So thank you.
So I'm in Pandemic Legion, which PL apparently has not had the best history with Brave. That was before my time in PL. But so I've been trying to FC, but like when you have a PL ticker and you're like 8 years old in the game, it's kind of difficult because you don't really have that grace. But one of my favorite things is fitting terrible ships and going and fighting Brave newbies, because they'll just do like, hey, it's PL, let's just blob them with standing fleet. So like there's some ships we can fight and kill and some we definitely can't, but it's always been fun. I've never had like a bad time going to Brave space.
Yeah, I will fair warn you that I do like the Griffin. And so I apologize for the ECM in advance.
I'm going to primary you first for sure. But no, that's good to know. I've learned a lot about Brave. I mean, I feel like I've always kind of known about Brave. Like I'm friends with Dunk, right? Like they're a big name within the game. But some of this detail of like what Brave is actually doing, and because I feel like everyone focuses on these giant coalitions, Winter, PanFam, and Imperium, and focusing now more on the little guys, as everyone likes to quote and defend, is really like welcoming.
They also had a very, very good wormhole department. Spoopy, thank you. Yeah,
I day tripped over there. I'd C5 crab with them occasionally. They recently did lose their hull. We tried to save it, weren't able to, and so they're working on getting settled again now.
Yeah, I was going to mention that kind of a few months ago you ended up losing your wormhole. Huge drops. That was one of the most expensive loot drops since, I forget, but probably since like the TDSN or something. Guys, if I make a mistake, don't blame me. Teddy said something to me and I'm misremembering. I apologize. Go ask Teddy, he'll correct me. But I remember like him saying that like the loot that came out of the Brave Newbies wormhole thing was like, up there with some of the largest loot drops in recent history. Which was fantastic, right? Great content for everyone. Obviously sucks you lost your hole. But I think that just shows how many people were using that hole, in that hole, and like having fun with Brave Newbies. And being part of that wormhole space and kind of giving more content to wormhole space. So like, a lot of new groups can just decide not to have a wormhole division. So like, well done ye. It sucks you lost your hole, but like congratulations on having a hole for a few years, defending it a couple of times, and I hope to see you back out with a new hole soon.
Yeah, the Spoopy guys are great, and we've tried to help them get settled. We rage rolled that whole week trying to get in there to help them out, but it was a little late. We didn't get the magic frig hole that we've seen happen sometimes.
I am currently, just for context, undergoing an eviction attempt. I won't say who, but shout out to the attackers. They've done an amazing job so far. They've really kicked their asses and they've had us on the back burner and stuff, so shout out to them, well done. But we got incredibly lucky. We had 2 frig holes spawn and we were able to get some reinforcements in, so it is just kind of like the luck of the draw a lot of the times.
Do you think you're going to survive, Abbie?
I don't want to say. Yeah, I don't want to jinx it, wink wink. Unless Jinx wants to bring like 100 Brave Newbies to come help me out.
Just send the chain.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
No, I don't want to say just yet. It's still ongoing. We're still quite touch and go. They have still structures, but it's just been great fights. It's been a rough 5 days, but it's been great fights. So thank you to them and their allies for coming, and a huge thank you to my team and our allies for coming to help us as well. It's been good fights. We had like a 150 versus 150 man brawl yesterday, which is like huge numbers for wormhole space, right? I know it's probably nothing compared to eating all block guys, but it was pretty big for us, so it was cool fun.
Yeah, that sounds intense. I mean, I know with wormholers, the way they fight, it's like what, multi-boxing, and then you also have to, it's more than just like anchoring in F1. You have to actually be competent at what you're doing when you're multi-boxing, or even just flying a solo character.
Yeah.
So I find that like super intense.
Yeah, we had guys like triple boxing Logi, like flying 2 DPS, flying a Logi and flying a Saber. And you know, we had huge help from lots of different groups. You know, I don't want...
Yeah, I forget which defense it was. It was a big fight year and a half ago. And the thing that impressed me was I got a handout Tempest because I came in the shuttle, and then got in the Tempest, had huge fun shooting everything. And then as soon as I died, I was potted because they just had somebody on pod watch because they wanted everybody out of the hole.
Yeah, that's how it works. You gotta pot them to get them. But yeah, like that's one thing I kind of like about Brave. You know, you guys have your nullsec space, but you also have your wormhole division, and it's, you know, up until very recently was a really good, strong wormhole corp that brought a lot of good content to wormholes as well. So, you know, if you're thinking about joining Brave, it doesn't have to be the nullsec big block fights. You can join Brave, and I'm sure you have a low sec campus, and I'm sure you'll have a wormhole campus again soon.
Yeah, we've got Brave Empire, which is our high sec sister corp, and where we put alts and for hauling and all those things. And that's one of the nice things about Pureblind too, is that we are close to low sec, so you know, we're able to get out and get the low sec ore, which, you know, you can't get isogen and null sec now, but it's almost worth as much as R64. So you can put newbies in ventures, and if there's not an R64 moon available, you can bridge them over, get some of that good low sec ore, and bring it back, which we need for building battleships and everything else.
That's great. Someone said there, yeah, you also have a high sec division as well, actually.
Yeah, Brave Empire. Yeah.
That's super wholesome. Like, I would not expect that from Brave. I think Pandemic Horde tried that once and it just kind of flopped. I definitely know they don't have a wormhole group, but they do Poshvin. Wait, do you guys do Poshvin?
We've got, so KCLP, he's one of the FCs. He does some stuff in USTZ, but there's so much to be made out there that I think you have to try to get out there if you can.
Yeah, it's also good for fights. I always see. So we have Pittsburgh, who does it for Pandemic Legion, and he'll just ping sometimes. He's like, "Hey guys, let's go ratting." Oh yeah, we're gonna try and bait some fights, and then we usually get some good brawls.
Yeah, I haven't been able to make it out there yet. I did the standings fix so that you don't get tackled in high sec, but I haven't made much disc out there.
Yeah.
Hikori in the chat was asking about Titans, and I still have my Ghost Titan that died and was resurrected out of M2, so that's up in Pureblind, bridging newbies all the time.
Yeah, my favorite. It was really fun during the war to like meme on people. I'll be like, "Why are you shooting Brave? They're a bunch of newbies." Meanwhile, like Brave has like a Titan fleet out there, and like everyone would get really mad at me saying, "It's more than just newbies, Rahne. They have Titans." I'm like, and so then I'd still roast them though for killing newbies.
They're large Atrons.
Yeah. It's been interesting though, seeing the development of like the history of these alliances. Like you said, you were around when Brave first started, and that was when it was genuinely a bunch of people who had no idea what they were doing, just flying Atrons, trying to have fun. And now you guys have like, you're owning Sov, you have Titans and all that. So it's been an interesting story.
What was it? Fun per hour, wasn't it? Measured in fun per hour.
Yeah. What's your fun per hour?
Great ads. I still remember that. Like, obviously they were amazing because all these years later, I still remember that line. Right?
Yeah, well, every other group, like that was back when like every other group was like, "Oh, we're so elite, look at our kill boards." And Brave is just like, "Screw kill boards. How, are you having fun? Yes or no? If no, come join Brave."
That's rich coming from someone in PL.
Yeah, we'd like to have, so when the spies come in, because you can't stop the spies, we like to think that they're going to come have so much fun that they become brave anyway. So
It is a tactic. What is it? Like reverse counter espionage? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a spy, but like that's a good tactic though. You convince them to stay and have fun, or at least not to murder you.
all right, Kirsten's asking about your cat. What's
Yeah.
the thing?
So she's a tortie, which means she's a brat, but her name is Athena or Tina. She lived with like everyone in my family until I finally adopted her, in which case she adores me and bothers me nonstop. So right before the stream, I don't know if you could see, but she was scratching at my window, which is like right there, because she wants it to be open, but it's like 50 degrees out and I do not want to freeze. So instead she sits here and gets mad.
Sorry, I just need to do a math. 50 degrees, that's 10 Celsius? That's not freezing out. That's like t-shirts and shorts weather.
It's cold enough where I'm not comfortable sitting at home in my sweats.
Fair point. So what do you think, like, in terms of Brave, are you going to like try and stay at your level? Do you think you're going to try, like, are you happy where you are? And I don't mean that in a bad way, right? I mean, is your ambition to become the next Horde, or
I mean, I think everyone wants their group to succeed, but you know, some of this is dunk, so this is Jinx at the corp level. Yeah, I'd like to see us grow. You know, we have been bigger. We were much bigger when before the war. I'd like to see some of those people come back, get a keep star, all those things. But it really is nice being independent. I mean, we had so many people just leave, even though there was constant content for the giant fights during the war. People would ping roams. Someone would join Brave, ping roams. They would filament, and it's just blue, 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 blue. And so it's really nice just being able to go anywhere in space right now and be able to fight. You're not going to get diploed. You're not going to say, oh, well, they were neutral, but you weren't supposed to shoot them. And none of that. It's great.
Yeah, that sounds perfect.
Do you have kids, or was that cats in the background? Sorry. I got really distracted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kids.
All right, sorry, go on. Abbie, you had a question.
No, I was just going to say, like, I was recently speaking with someone, and I used the term block to describe Brave. And they told me that, you know, Brave isn't a block. And I kind of didn't agree with them. And then I was talking to a few other people, and I looked up into your stats and stuff. And yeah, I definitely think you are not a block, and you're definitely more of a you know, that mid-tier size group. But
yeah, I was trying to think of how to. We're probably. I think we're medium just because we don't have all the blues, but we're probably, if not the largest medium, we're up there.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. It's like your blue list is like very little to none, right? It's not like.
Yeah, so our Diplo incidents are now is like there was a corp joining us, and we saw people saw blue in space and were like, what the hell, standings are messed up. And so it got reported up and down, and then it turned out it was someone who was joining us and they just hadn't joined the alliance yet. But that's our standings issues now is we see a blue and everyone freaks out.
Yeah, that's great. So Pureblind, all right, so you're just up there in the north. Yeah.
So I have a question, but it's not really, it's like Brave related. But like the most iconic Brave player that's not leadership is the Barry Folder venture pilot.
Yes.
Do you actually associate or talk to him, or is he just like this legend that walks among Brave players?
Yeah, you know, Barry's great. He comes and goes, but everyone knows him. He's around. During the war, he was getting great tackle in that venture. I like to. A lot of times, I would be second. I'm not as good as him at all, and not good at probes, but I would do secondary tackle and I'd just follow Barry. Where's Barry? Oh, he's got something, and I'd warp to Barry and get the secondary. And so, Barry, come back. We know you will, but we miss you.
Nice.
Sorry.
I just wanted
I have no
What's
idea what you're on about.
So during the war, like, you know, so I would stream a lot of these fights, right? And in the war, you always had people like in their groups, and you could see like interceptor alts or dictor alts kind of moving around. So Barry was always an adventurer, and he was brave. So he always showed up as blue on mine because I was in Pappy. And he would just like do the weirdest things. Like he would just like randomly warp on an enemy fleet or just go and burn and tackle pilots. And 90% of the time from my end, he would just feed. And then you look at his fits and it was just like a terrible fit. But then there was that 10% where like he'd just be kind of sitting on his own and some idiot FC would warp to him and then he'd tackle him and then all of Pappy would just converge on his location. Like he was the best bait. It was just like a brave ticker, an adventure during a PvP thing. Everyone thought he was like just some random who, and they like, you know, no threat to anyone. And he would just dunk on people and it was hilarious. And then like whenever he died, his ship was always like terribly fit or, you know, not the most optimized. So it's like they didn't even get any good loot. It wasn't like anything fancy or abyssal rolled or anything like that. It was hilarious.
Okay, thank you for the link there, Jinx. I'll pull that up on stream as well. I think
it's the perfect venture fit. And actually, so Barry also would bring an industrial ship on or mining ship on any roam. So if he needed to, he would bring a porpoise or a procurer. So it wasn't just ventures; it was whatever he needed, he would upship to.
Yeah. And so you say it's the perfect fit. It changed. Like I would watch and he would die so much. And then I would look at his fit and I'm like, this fit's different than his last one. And he'd be like, oh, let's put lasers on it. Oh, all nudes. And then it'd be like just random things. Yeah, he almost always had the probe launcher to catch people and then some tackle. But it was so weird to me.
Curson just linked. He tackled B and it's classic. You just linked that.
Oh yeah, cool. I mean, I guess he was actually playing like a 4D chess move because the Venture has +2 warp core strength like natively. So he could always, he was probably thinking about, you know, if something goes wrong here, I can get away. Smart guy.
The other thing too, you'll know. Oh, what was I gonna say? Oh, his top all time, the capsule's number 4, which shows that when he dies, people that he tackled still die anyway. So it doesn't matter if like he tackles someone and then they try to fight him and get away, that they still die anyway.
Yeah, when he was active and we would give like Fleet 101 classes and talk to new Atron pilots, that's like something we'd say to do. You know, just find whoever's got probes or getting tackle, and then when they call it, just make sure you warp to them, and you get that secondary tackle.
Yeah.
Okay, hold up. I'm gonna have to mute this because.
Oh, you're watching Bjorn?
Yeah, I'll put it up now.
Next round.
There's one point he sees him and calls him out on the video.
There he is. That's him warping in.
He's so upset. You can hear it.
It's on. Overheat. I'm fucking dead. Whoever was linking clips, I blame you, dude. I wasn't paying attention. Now I got killed by a venture as a curse. Fuck! I'm gonna kill the venture, though, no matter what, dude. Overheat this. How is it so tanky, dude? Combat probing venture.
He's like so salty because he warped away.
Yeah, you see, that's that +2 native warp core strength, guys.
Yeah.
Fucking memed on.
So he was watching clips, and he got blown up.
It's so funny though. I love Barry.
That's the kind of stuff that I remember of from Brave Newbies, like when they first came out. You know, that to me is like and a perfect embodiment of like fun per hour.
Yeah. So when I joined in this like the second week of Brave, and I only got to play a few months before life hit, but we were in Rahadalon at the time, and it was just everyone was in frigates, just chasing people around, and the stories, all the little stories, is what brings me back. And then when I came back from life and joined again, I still couldn't hang in Standing Fleet all day, but I could, with my work and in life, I could be docked and hand out ships, and so that's how I got involved in the Brave Dojo. And from there, it's been 5 years, and I like to think I've helped a ton of people get into the game and help make Brave what it is right now. So
Yeah, definitely. And actually, you did a lot of those Brave Dojo guide videos and stuff as well, right? On YouTube and
yeah, so I run the YouTube. Not all the videos are me. It's a group effort. We get anyone who wants to make a video in Brave. Dojo pays them, and we host it there. I like to make. I try to find like the topics that no one else has done, or they're in Russian or something. So like I did one a couple years ago on Jedi huffing, which is wormhole, where you're getting chased by the wormhole rats, but you can still huff all the gas you want in a prospect. And I did dread ratting a couple years ago before crab beacons, and others were doing it, but I had one of the first videos up doing things like that. My T3 production one got featured on Eve Academy, so that was nice.
That's impressive. That's like really good for CCP to leverage your work.
Yeah, and we had other videos from the Dojo YouTube make it on Eve Academy as well.
You should use that for your CSM campaign.
Okay.
Hint, hint.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got some links.
Yeah.
Oh, you got that. That's one of that piece of art there. One, the Be Brave, Be a Hero. One of our guys won one of the poster contests that CCP had with that, or I think it was second place. But
yeah, that's really good. They usually do contests like just for stuff to give away, but also to give away like swag, or sometimes they'll take the art and put it on. Like I think they had like a mouse pad competition or a T-shirt competition one year. So having more easier propaganda from CCP is really good too. It looks really nice. Oh, it even says his name is Barry. Oh my god, I didn't realize. That's so wholesome.
there's the giant Barry. You got your Atron and your Venture.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah, I just looked that up. Sorry, Jinx. I didn't realize you were that Jinx that did the Jedi the Jedi huffing video. That's fantastic.
yeah, so I found an old Russian video on the forums, and it was filmed back when the damage control was still an active module, which was a really long time ago. And so then I tried. I had to try like 10 times or something, but I got it. And I've known a few people who have made billions just doing that.
Yeah, so for the uninitiated, gas sites and wormholes, when you warp in, there's no rats, and then they spawn after like 15-20 minutes, and they'll kill you, no problem. You can either kill them in a ship, or there's some sites that you can't tank because they have turrets, but there is sites with rats, and you get your prospect with an AB and tiny sig, and you just like orbit around the cloud and just basically dodge all the incoming damage, and you can huff your gas and make her hundreds of millions. And probably a little bit more now that gas is used in like the capital production stuff and everything, so it's pretty lucrative.
Oh, that's awesome though. You can watch Jinx's videos to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
But
Do
yeah,
we?
Kirsten, what's the new swag store? We just got a Brave swag store.
Dude, Eve swag is literally the best. That's my biggest disappointment of not going to Fanfest, not seeing my friends and not getting swag.
Dunk
Oh.
always has unique swag for things like Fanfest.
2019, Dunk handed out Brave hand sanitizers at meets, and I literally used that when the pandemic hit. And no one was selling hand sanitizer because it was all out.
So Brave saved Pandemic Legion from the pandemic.
Yeah, I know Delana still used hers, and I'm pretty sure there were a lot of other Eve players that used it.
Okay, Kirsten didn't have the link saved. Poo poo.
The other thing too, I'm trying to think about. So, oh yeah, we mentioned Fanfest. Like, are you going to Fanfest at all, Jinx?
No, I was gonna go. I had tickets and unrefundable hotel and then the pandemic hit, and so I still have money to go to the airline money to go to Iceland, but I couldn't go this year. Next year.
Yeah, the 20th anniversary should be pretty fun. Speaking of Fanfest, CCP actually put out a mega blog. A lot of people have been doing predictions and thoughts with the mega blog. They include, I feel like CCP has done more this year to highlight player ran events, as well as items like non Fanfest events. So like the more community hangouts, like they're doing a tour of the or a walking tour of the monument, and then they're doing like movie showings and whatnot. So I feel like CCP's highlighted that way more, and I actually really like that. Like Fanfest is more than just a couple of days in Iceland. It's actually like a whole adventure if you plan for it.
Yeah, they have their event schedule up already. And for anyone who can't go, obviously all this is being it is going to be streamed on CCP. Obviously, for a lot of Americans, it'll probably be at a bad time for ye. I don't know about you, Rahne.
5 a.m. Heck yeah. Keynote, I'm waking up. Actually, I'm probably not. I'll just watch a VOD.
So like here's the, they have a Friday schedule. Go on, sorry.
Oh, I was going to say the big one is the Eve keynote. Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah, well, I was going to say I'm looking forward to like the team security Q&A because like that's always interesting in my opinion. Obviously Scott Manley.
Yeah, we haven't heard as much about bots as we had for a couple of years there. Brave was dealing with cloaky campers when we first came to Pure Blind, and one of our guys was able to. So they were using the cloak mechanic. So every 15 minutes, if you put a mobile observatory down, it was decloaking at like 14 minutes 30 seconds and then recloaking in the timer. And he was able to scan them down progressively over because they were auto cloaking. So he just waited for that timer, and then got on grid with them and just took a long video of the bot just cloaking and decloaking, burning off into space when he was 5 kilometers behind him chasing. And suddenly all those cloaky campers are no more.
Yeah, don't bot in game team. So it's good, but that's something QA does, or not QA, team security does, is handle that. I'll be interested to see how that panel goes, because I know for a fact that CSM has met with team security, and literally every time they meet with team security, like the minutes, they just say, here's a recipe. And then when you talk to the CSM, they're pretty much just like, we talked to team security, we couldn't get a lot answered because it's security stuff. And so they don't want to share it for the reason of, they don't want to share the resources that they're using because some players could use it to get around that and whatnot.
Yeah, the more they say about what they do, it gives the bad people an indication of how they can avoid it. Coming up at eFanfest is the global finals.
Yeah,
go on, you say, you know more about this.
Yeah, so they did the world tour. When they were doing the world tour in 2019, they had 2v2s at every event. So every location, so London, Amsterdam, Vegas, etc. And so then they would tell the winners, like, hey, if you won, you get not all expenses paid, but you get a trip to Iceland. So I think that's like airfare and hotel. Well, the pandemic hit, so they couldn't go to Iceland. They couldn't do the finals. And so now, like 3 years later, or whatever it is, 2 years later, we're finally able to do the finals. So they're flying everyone out. I've heard a lot of like hype for some of this. So they're going to do it in its own room. They call it the Thunderdome, or the Thunderdome for the room in there. And then the finals are actually going to be on stage, which is really intense. I was there for the MR championship, and it was really fun watching the teams on stage.
I was at Eve North in Toronto for 2019, and I did not participate in it, but they had a whole room set up, big screens, and it was a fun time to watch.
Yeah, it's intense stuff. I remember the MR Championship. Lysis was one of the competitors. He was a streamer at the time, and he said if he won, he was going to take off his shirt and like dive into the crowd, which sounds both hilarious and traumatizing. So I really hope somebody does something crazy like that this time. Hint, hint, wink, wink for those traveling to Iceland.
Oh wow. Okay, so then Saturday Party, DJ Mind One is going to kick off the show.
Yeah.
That's
So
pretty cool.
DJ Mind One, a streamer. He streams I think like almost every day, and then Saturdays he does like just pure music streams, not Eve streams. So
Yeah,
it's not. Oh,
during the war, he was doing that for Goons, and one of many things they did well. But in terms of keeping morale up and keeping everybody together and having fun, I thought he was a big part of that.
Yeah, dude I think he makes a living now just Twitch streaming. I know in the past it was a bit different. Like he had to support himself with a day job like most Twitch streamers, like myself. But yeah, the dude's like traveling the world now, being able to DJ, so that's super exciting for him. It's a really good opportunity too for CCP to leverage, someone from the community versus, paying all these fees for someone else to come in.
And he's amazing. So like, why not? Like, you know what I mean? He's literally
exactly
fucking amazing.
Yeah. And then they also have another DJ. I think it's called like Z Trip, I think. But he's not new to Eve. He's actually done multiple Fanfest before. So that'll be good to have him back.
Oh yeah, Party at the Top of the World, Z Trip. Mind One. Oh, they're gonna have special drinks.
Yeah. Having Quaif again is great. I think last time it was just like a soft drink or a energy drink. It's like nothing to write home about, but the fact that you have like something from in game as like real life swag is super neat.
But so is it one of those drinks that you actually drink, or do you just put it on the shelf and then years later wonder if it's good?
You're supposed to drink it. I got home and dumped mine out and just have the bottle sitting on the shelf. So, because I don't really drink I usually drink water if I'm drinking anything. And then the other one I think is I think it's a lager that they rebranded for CCP. But CCP used to have a brewery right under their offices, so I know they would collaborate with them for like alcohol and branding and whatnot.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it sounded really cool until like all the devs were like, yeah, I work and then I go downstairs and get a beer, and the next thing you know, I'm at home at 9 o'clock and lost all this money paying for alcohol. This is expensive there. There's a pub crawl, CCP Antiquarian and Ithaca Hawk. Pub crawls will be fun. I think they have like a non-alcoholic pub crawl too for those who just want to wander around but don't want to drink.
Yeah, that's true.
And then they have charity dinner, which I think you had to buy tickets ahead of time, and then a silent auction, and both of those funds go directly to able gamers. CCP and the EVE Online community has supported able gamers multiple times in the past. I know I did a giant drive with them. What's up?
The Fido is... Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's really great.
Yeah, so you can bid on some stuff, some cuter things. Some of it's like server blades, so a little nerdier.
That is very nerdy. A server blade from an old version of Tranquility signed by the tech team. I mean, I'd love that, but that's so nerdy. I think my missus would prefer me to come home with like the cute Fido plushie and not a server blade.
Yeah. Either way, it's swag, right? Like you get like a memento and a way to donate to charity.
The gold magnet's very cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's probably is that what's their name called? Something Dimensions? Mixed Dimensions? I wonder if... yeah.
It just says one of a kind, but I imagine it is from the same company that makes those cool models.
Yeah. Yeah, so then this is what I was talking about, where it's like the Eve related, but like not FanFest. So they're doing like the Down the Rabbit Hole viewing. So that's on Sunday, which is after FanFest. And then I think before FanFest, they're also doing like another movie thing. What was it? Like the Clear Skies Marathon or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then the merch store. So a lot of people complain about shipping prices for merch. It is unironically probably cheaper to fly to Iceland, hang out with your friends, and buy the t-shirts and coffee mugs you want, and then fly home. Because their merch store shipping is outrageous. Even if you're in the US, it's still kind of high.
Yeah, only to be made worse by shipping and logistics in the last 3 years getting worse.
Yeah, with the supply chain issues. So yeah, like if you look at that, there's so much stuff happening. And this isn't new, I would say. I feel like this stuff happens all the time. It's just CCP is promoting it way more. So you can find out where to go, what to do. Like I think there was like the MPSI group, there's like the pub quiz, yeah, right there. And then there's like karaoke, I think Wednesday night maybe. But like all this stuff looks, or maybe it's Thursday, but all this stuff is stuff I would highly recommend people go out and do. Like don't just go to the eves, like the stuff at the heart, not the harpa, but the event center. Like go to all this other stuff too, because you can really collaborate with devs, collaborate with other players, just talk and get to know people, and it's great.
Yeah, for the rest of us sitting at home watching it, hopefully it'll be good fun, and hopefully the keynote will bring some nice new content. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think next week Sunday, I think we're just gonna have folks on and we're gonna do a broadcast. I really want Ash Tarathi on because he got my hopes up with faction warfare, and I tried to tell him he was wrong. He's like, no, Rain, just wait. And now that all of this is out, I'm like, fuck, Ash Tarathi was right. They might have faction warfare, and so I'm like, I both want to let him have his, the spotlight to shine, but also to throw it in my face that I was wrong, because I did not want to get my hopes up, and so I'm still like cautiously optimistic because I could still be juked.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, there was this image that leaked roughly a week ago, maybe. This is on the Epic Games Store, I believe. So this was kind of, I don't know who found it, I don't know where it was, but it was on the Epic Games Store or something. Obviously hit the store early. There was no other messages or context about it. And then we had the recent scope video.
Oh yeah, with the Caldari thing.
Yeah, and this is a screener from the latest Caldari video. Obviously, same woman again. So people who in the lore, or the role-playing community. Yeah, can I zoom in? Is it?
No. Can you open the schedule? Open the Fanfest schedule, because there's art behind the Fanfest schedule, and people are speculating that could be a hint at something too. So I've heard speculation from like a new race. Yeah, so like if you look at the art, so people saying like, oh, it's the new race because there's still the pirate race of Mimitar Caldari, which doesn't exist, whereas all the other races are combined. So there's speculation there. Some people are saying, oh, it's on the ground, so maybe it's the new shooter that could be coming out. That's something I haven't seen a lot of people talk about that I would expect is the new shooter if they have any announcements for it. But yeah, so this is where, and then you see there's a faction warfare roundtable that's not in the normal roundtable room, but there's nothing else hinting at faction warfare. So a lot of people are saying, oh, maybe this is, faction warfare update. So that's why I'm thinking Ash. Like that's where Ash was probably coming from in his predictions, and with all this, it shows to support it. But yeah, a lot of little Easter eggs CCP are dropping and hints. So gotta wait till the keynote to find out, or at least all of FanFest. So if you aren't attending, make sure you tune into the live stream. I know CCP generally will record presentations that aren't live streamed. Otherwise, you can always go to the VOD on CCP's channel to watch the past broadcasts.
I was just trying to find an image. I think I'd seen a image of this kind of background graphic without the text, but I can't find it right now. But yeah, interesting times ahead.
Yeah, there's also the giant Caldari logo, and then all the Caldari stuff in the lore already. Big hints.
Yeah, and who is it? Where is she gone? Here we
Galente.
have like Galente in the background, right?
Yeah.
So, interesting times ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on what are you looking forward to most, Jinx, for FanFest?
With the we hear wait for Fanfest a lot, particularly with the price increase. So I hope they're able to announce something near term and it's not just soon TM. And I think faction warfare has needed love for a really long time. There's been some other CSM candidates that have had a lot of input for that, and hopefully we see some of that influence. Faction warfare is often pointed out as a great place for newbies as well, because you can get those small fights or the one-on-one. A lot of people, like, I want to learn 1v1, and I'll be honest, it's hard to do if you're in Brave newbies and nullsec and standing fleet. You're not going to get many 1v1s. But we can, if you're in faction warfare, they've got those gated sites and you can get a lot of fights. So hopefully just the whole mechanic and how the larger part of it is fixed. And then I'm hoping that they're also going to make missions more interesting and things like that. So we'll see. And I hope some of that is particularly if we're seeing the art. I hadn't seen those as more near term and not just like, oh yeah, we're going to do this in a year or so.
Yeah, I think having something, you hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of hope and optimism, but having something concrete that they're releasing versus promises. And that's a valid.
Just real quick, actually, from that kind of same update was with the Siege Green, the next industry changes coming where they're changing the blueprints and they're impacting medium structures. They took some more feedback, and so they ended up increasing the reinforcement time on the medium structures. So a medium structure in wormhole space is now going to have a 2.5 day timer. They did get rid of the armor timer, and it's only hull. So you can blast through shield and armor in one go, but then it's 2.5 days instead of 1.5 days. In nullsec it's going to be 3.5 days instead of 2.5, and same in lowsec, it's going to be 3.5 days instead of 2.5. Most importantly, they reduced the jitter around the timer that you set versus the time it comes out. So this used to be a plus or minus 3 hour window, so a total span of 6 hours, and it's now going to be a plus or minus of an hour and a half, a total potential window of 3 hours. So a bit better. It does make it a bit easier to defend. I'm talking about from a wormhole perspective. 1.5 days is pretty tough, particularly when we use the armor timer to separate troll harassers versus a real eviction attempt and someone actually coming to kill you. So even though it still kind of sucks for us, 2.5 days is better than 1.5, right? So that's kind of good.
You get some of what you want, but not all. And I think if CCP is going to continue to release like this, you have to show to them how the change has impacted. To say hey, we told you this would happen. Look, now it's actually happening. Because then maybe after seeing that, they may change it too. Because I remember, Artemis was on here talking about how it's not about the days, it's about the troll versus non-troll.
Yep.
And then I know you and Teddy were talking about it in chat too, where you don't care how long or fast it takes. It's knowing if you should be serious about defending or not.
Yeah, particularly because we don't have asset safety. You with whole control, you could literally stop people coming in. In low sec and nullsec, you can just sign around it.
I think the big groups wanted it, but to me, it just seems like the biggest groups are just going to put down Fortizars and Tataras now, and then that's going to make it harder for the small groups, the small wormhole groups, to get started. Because now, instead of saying, hey, we're going to jump in here and throw down 3 billion for an Astra, maybe more with a fit, now you're talking 15, 17 bill. And maybe if they're able to hold it for a while, they could make that back, particularly in wormholes, but it's going to be a lot harder.
Yeah, absolutely agree. It is not easy to hold it. It is not easy to keep it. Everything is on the line. So yeah, if they're able to make it back, it's great, but it does bring a higher barrier to entry, which I don't think we should be raising the barrier to entry into wormhole space. Trying to encourage as much people as possible. The jitter reduction is very nice though. Again, that means that if I set my timer for 2100 It'll either come out at 19:30 or 22:30. It does mean that I can try and get my bodies online and set it for a timer that suits me for defending a bit more. So that is a welcome change after they removed one of the timers.
Yeah, for sure. I know. I was trying to think because like 6 hours is like like that's fine for a weekend, but not during a weekday. Like I'm very rarely at my computer for an entire 6 hours, give or take, like including a battle before I have to go to bed for work the next day or something. So like 3 hours is a bit easier for folks to assemble during a weekday and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think did they look at reducing some more of the inputs into capitals as well? No, that was in the first one. I think it was just a structure change.
Yeah.
Well, they did. This week they did update the dreads, I think, to be a little bit cheaper than carriers and then faxes.
Oh, it was.
So
Okay.
I think that's a positive change.
Yeah, as we were looking at last week, it was kind of like 3.5 bill to 4 for a dread. I think they might have taken it down to a bit closer to 3. Was it?
Yeah, I think it'll depend on how much low-sec and wormhole inputs can keep up now that people will be interested in building them again.
Yeah.
Rahne, I have to get going. I do appreciate you bringing me on. If you'll allow me, I'll link my pre-announcement CSM website here.
Yeah, if you'd like. And then any final thoughts or anything you want to share before we sign off?
No, for me about CSM, I love Eve. I've been back for 5 years. It's probably my biggest hobby right now, and I want to see it be in a great place. I've been a member of the community helping out in Brave, and I think I've got a lot of energy behind that, and I think I could put some energy in helping the Eve community in general. So that's why I'm hoping to get on CSM. I just have to get through all the paperwork first, and then I'll get my announcement out and all that.
Alrighty, thank you so much for joining us today. You taught us a lot, and it was really good to hear your insights, both with Brave and then as well as things like Fanfest and other topics that we discussed.
All right, appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope you have good rest of your weekend. Have a good time.
Thanks. Bye, Abbie.
See you later.
All right. Is there anything else you want to discuss, Abbie, or we can sign off there? I know we went longer than I thought. I said only an hour, but we're definitely over that.
No, I think that was kind of all the main talking points. Fanfest, we just gotta wait for Fanfest, guys, for content. Changes to the Siege Green. It's kind of like the biggest news that's been happening.
Yeah, so next week Sunday, assuming everyone's here and not hungover from Fanfest, we're definitely going to do a show, probably discussing the topics. May or may not have the best guests ever because they could be traveling or, people's schedules could be busy. But we'll definitely do a show next week Sunday if folks want to tune in to see our reactions to Fanfest. There has been some discussion of not co-streaming, but doing like a reaction stream to some of the Fanfest stuff, which we may or may not do. That also depends on schedules and people's times, because it's definitely during my work day on Thursday and Friday. So
yeah, we'll see what we can do in terms of a reaction after the Fanfest presentation. Otherwise, we'll definitely see you next Sunday.
Yeah, so take care, team. Thank you, everyone in chat, for hanging out, participating in the discussion, and sharing links and whatnot. And I know Jinx already left, but thanks to Jinx for showing on and coming on as a guest and being insightful. It's always helpful having guests on and being able to share what they see in the world, because our lens is very narrow, so having people to expand that is always good.
Yeah, and shout out to all the brave newbies in chat as well. It's good to see you guys.
All right, bye, everyone. Have a good day.